Rachel, Trusty, and Storm watched in amazement as the dinosaur lifted up its head with the struggling goblin still in its mouth. "Put me down," the goblin raged. "Arr!" At first the mother took no notice of the goblin, but obediently went through the process. It tipped its head back, opened its jaws a little wider, and clatter, clang, bang, bang, crash. The goblin tumbled right down into the dinosaur's hollow belly. A furious hammering immediately started up inside the model. "Let me out," yelled the goblin, laughing with delight. Trusty sprinkling another pinch of fairy dust over herself. It glittered a bright lightning white, and then she felt her wings disappear and her legs grow, and whoosh, she was back to being a girl once more. She went straight over to Rachel and hugged her. "Are you alright?" she asked. "That got a bit scary, didn't it?" "Yes," Rachel agreed, "but we managed it, thanks to your brilliant idea, Trusty. Now we have got Doodle's sixth feather." Storm flew over with Rachel's magical locket. "Here you are," she said, handing it over. "And I think we'd better leave while we can," she added nervously. "It sounds like the goblin's trying to climb out, and it will not take him long to escape and tell Jack Frost what's happened." They could all hear the determined scrabbling sounds that were coming from inside the dinosaur. Rachel fastened her locket carefully around her neck as the friends headed for the museum's exit. "I cannot believe I missed out on being a fairy today," she said with a sigh. "That is the only bad part. That and nearly getting blasted by fairy lightning," she finished with a smile. The girls and Storm rushed out of the museum. Outside, the bad weather had passed. The rain had stopped, and the dark clouds seemed to be melting away. The sun came out and made the wet pavement glisten. Rachel glanced down and groaned. "Oh no," she said. "My throat. I'd forgotten it had been singed by the goblin's lightning." Trusty looked over as Rachel put up her throat hem to examine. The material was blackened and scorched, and the stitching had frazzled away. Mom's trying to go mad," Rachel said. "This throat was meant to last until autumn." "Let me see," said Storm, darting down for a closer look. As soon as she saw the problem, she smiled and gently stroked her magic wand along the hem. A trail of twinkling lights glimmered over the material, and Rachel gasped as the burnt part of her throat started shimmering with a bright light. She blinked in the dazzling fairy glow, and when she looked up again, she saw that her throat was as good as new. "Thank you, Storm," she gasped in delight. "Now Mom will never know." Storm winked. "I should be the one thanking you too," she said. "Doodle will be so pleased to have another feather back in his tail." They hurried down Twisty Lane to Trusty's house. "There's Doodle," Trusty told Storm, pointing to the weather vane on the old barn. Storm flew up to return the lightning feather to Doodle's tail, and the girls waited expectantly. What was Doodle going to say this time? Every time they had put a feather back before, the rusty old feather vane had magically come alive, just for a second, and sprout out a part of her message. So far, he had said, "Beware, Jack Frost will come if he's..." The two friends were anxious to find out what Doodle was going to say next. "Jack Frost would come if he's..." What? As Tom carefully slotted the lightning feather into place, Doodle's iron feathers softened and shimmered with thousand fiery colors. His head turned towards the girls, his beak opened. Goblins failed. He struck urgently, then as fast as he had come to life, the color vanished from his feather. His head turned back with a rusty creak, and he was an ordinary feather vane once more. Rachel and Kirsty looked at one another in alarm. Beware, Jack Frost will come if his goblins fail, they cried together. Storm looked worried too. If you find the rain feather, then Jack Frost's goblins will have failed, she said. That does not sound good. She fluttered down to Kirsty and Rachel. You must be careful, girls. Jack Frost is very sneaky. We know, Kirsty said, biting her lips. But we will be careful. Don't worry, Storm. Kirsty and Rachel hugged Storm goodbye. They watched as the lightning fairy flew away into the distance until she was nothing but a purple sputter in the air. Then she was gone. The girls stood in silence for a moment, both thinking about Doodle's warning. Rachel was the first to speak. We have nearly done it, Kirsty, she said, but I think the last feather might be the hardest one to get back. Kirsty nodded, and even if we do get it, I'm not looking forward to seeing Jack Frost at all, she said solemnly. Then she squeezed Rachel's hand. But we've outwitted him before, haven't we? I'm sure we can do it again. Rachel grinned. You bet, she agreed. Watch out, Jack Frost. We are ready for you, she shouted.